I do. Go ahead, Dan.
When we were young, she was in charge of the 4 younger children. And she's always the boss. And you did what she wanted to do. And she was always, my mother was very ill. She had heart disease as a very young woman. And she couldn't do too much around the house. So Muriel really took over. And she worked very hard, cleaning the house and preparing meals for us. And this was during very difficult times. We're in an economic struggle right now, but I was raised during a period of the 30s when times were very tough. We were so poor, my father wasn't even working. He had no job. And there was no such thing as welfare. And so I read certain instances that took place during the 30s where we used to have delivery trucks come by the house, bakery, laundryman, milkman, iceman. We never even had a refrigerator. We'd come with a big cube of ice and put it in the refrigerator, and that's how we used to keep food cold. Well, this was around 1937, 38, when 25% of the population wasn't working in this country. And so we were, we didn't have even proper food to eat in the house. And we lived in a 2-bedroom apartment with 7 of us. And a truck would come by, and a bakery truck, and back of it was open. I remember my mother looking out the window, and she says, "Muriel, quick, they dropped a couple of loaves of bread out of the back of the truck." And she ran outside, and she picked up the 2 loaves of bread, and she came in, and we had some bread. See, that was fun. And then my mother was a fun-like person, and she always tried to do things to make us feel good and happy. So we had an amusement park in Chicago. It was called Riverview Park. And at this time, Muriel was about 16 years of age. And she wanted her to enter a contest to win a bicycle. We never had a bicycle. And so we all went to Riverview Park, and my mother dressed Muriel up as Olive Oil, Popeye's girlfriend. And we entered the contest. She did, and she won the bicycle. Well, all of us learned how to ride on this bicycle. That was in the 30s. So this is how our youth was. And she was very, dependable, honorable. I mean, you knew that if you needed something, she was there. Anyhow, this went on until, 39 and 40. And then the war started, World War II. And things became a little more prosperous. My father got a job. And Muriel went to work. She was working for $2 a day selling toilet paper in some dime store or something, I remember. And she'd bring home the money. I was still in school, of course. And we finally started progressing a little bit. Well, it just so happened that during the war, she graduated high school, I think in 1939 or 40, I don't remember exactly. And she got a job at one of the war plants. And she was making some money. My father was working. He got a steady job at that time. And so we finally, when I was about 17 years of age, we got together about $1,500, the whole family. And my dad had an opportunity, somebody was working with him, to buy a house in the neighborhood that he was moving into the suburbs. This guy was retiring. So we bought this house for $5,000. First time we ever owned anything. My father never drove a car. We never had an automobile. We always took public transportation wherever we went. Well, we moved into this house, and it was a 2-story house with 4 bedrooms and a full basement and 2 toilets. One on the first one, one second. We never had a house with more than 1 toilet. Anyhow, I was at that point about 17 years of age, and Muriel was getting a little older. She was in her 20s. Anyhow, at that time, the war was getting over. It was 1947, and she decided she wanted to come to California with her girlfriend Judy. They were both entertaining. They went to entertain the USO, the soldiers and stuff. Muriel was a singer. She was very good. She had a beautiful voice. And Judy also, they used to sing together. Well, they came out here to California around 1947. And she met Chuck, her husband, out here. And she got married when she was 28 years of age. 1947 or 8, I don't know exactly the date, 48. Anyhow, I came out here to visit her at that time. I was the only one. She had a private, nobody came to her wedding. They got married in the rabbi's library. That's all it was. That was their wedding. I was the first one to come out and visit her. And when I came out to California at that time, I said to myself, gee, it's so nice out here. I think I'm going to move out here someday myself. So I was out here for about 3 or 4 months. I stayed with her. And, I always enjoyed being with Muriel because she was such a good cook. And, she was so neat about everything. Her house was perfect. Everything was in order. And I'd like to have order myself. So I appreciated all that. And she made life comfortable for me. She understood my circumstances and, it made me feel good. Anyhow, I came back to California, and my mother was very ill at that time, and my grandfather was living with us at that time too, and he became ill and he passed away. And anyhow, it came to pass that at this time I was fooling around a little bit, and I went into business with my partner, and I had a restaurant, and I did all kinds of crazy things. And I met my wife, Ruth, and got married in 52, and we decided we moved to Indiana. Well, to make a long story short, we lived in Indiana, we moved to Montana, we didn't do too good, financially we were desperate, we had 2 children already. I decided in the middle of winter in January, 40 below zero, I'm going to California. This was in 1956. I came out to California, I had $6 in my pocket. That's all I had, nothing else. And where am I going to stay? I stay with Muriel. Where else? So I got a job as a masseur, and I was working part-time. And 3 months later, I got enough money for Ruthie to come out on the train with the 2 kids. Lauren was about 3 or 4 months old. Gordon was about 3 years old or something. We came out, and where do we live? We live a half a block down the street from where Muriel is. She got us a 1-bedroom apartment with no furniture. Well, Mur, how can we move in here?